In a world of heightened, some today have said extreme financialization, how do you create a system of good governance that allows wealth creation but helps tame somewhat volatility?
Well, I think the key thing is to get the expertise engaged, so that the outcome of your policy making comes from the right source. So I think policymakers need to engage with the experts on the ground who understand how financialization works, and they can guide policymakers as to the potential pitfalls going forward. And I think the real problem we have is that there is too little understanding on the part of policymakers, and it may well be that we need to look at a different formulation of how we do this, because globalization has made us have to work in a situation where the stresses are almost unbearable. If you make mistakes, they have global implications, and therefore I think the response should be to offer an expert-led and fully informed debate involving both consumers on the ground and policymakers, so that we engage in a much more holistic way. Now, we've never had more access to information than we have today. It seems to me to be highly questionable that the outcome of our decisions is so poor. So I think we have a lot of material and data we can work from. I think I meet so many good professionals, experts around the world who do understand the implications of poor policy making. And I think those policymakers need to engage more with the realities that we face and less with seeking votes or rushing after the latest soundbite. And journalists also need to be aware that some of these issues are working in a sort of a real-time environment that does not reflect the ability to sell a monthly, a weekly, a daily. And so we need to take care, because we are all implicated. If we destroy listed companies that are part of our pension portfolio by over-regulation, by fining too harshly, by putting out scandalous stories, it is future generations who will be making up the difference, because increased taxes will have to be found to make up the difference in the pension pot. So there's a vicious circle there. And if we're going with the capital market scenario globally, we have to be careful not to overreact to cause unwanted damage to intrinsic value. It's as simple as that.
Right. And organizations like CIFA, in their advisory role to both the United Nations and also just governments around the world in general, is there specific things that you would like to see these types of organizations do to kind of help advance a sensible form of good governance?
Absolutely. I think this is absolutely key. I mean, in today's world, we are working on a global basis. Most of us are working in front of screens and on the phones, and it is ideal for there to be gatherings where consumer-led groups, investor protection issues, practitioner education issues, policy-making issues come together in the same place, because we can engage to a certain extent electronically, but it's much better to meet people face to face, engage with the real debate, and get on with solving problems rather than, you see, rushing after policy decisions to win votes is a different matter to coming up with something that will work on a 5, 10, 15-year basis. And then, of course, adapting to change. We've got technological change now that we've not had before. We have cryptocurrencies, we have all sorts of new developments occurring. And I think if we stay engaged with the fast-moving developments, and I think re-engage also in terms of trust. There's been a massive lack of trust after the crisis, and I think that one of the problems we face now is that consumers don't really trust the policymakers, don't really trust financial institutions. And if we can work to build that trust back, and I believe that CIFA and other organisations can do this by informing people better, right across the board, from consumers right through to practitioners, how they deal with the risk-reward appetite issues from their own clients, then I think we will go some of the way. But the principal concern now is, how do you derive meaningful policy that's going to work on a global level? And I think engaging in conferences, gatherings of the sort that CIFA can do, and also reaching out right across the spectrum, is the way forward, no question.